So to begin this tutorial, you're going to need your 3 colors of yarn: green, yellow, and brown, and a medium weight, not too thick nor too thin. You're also going to need a 4mm crochet hook, tapestry needle to weave in the ends, and a pair of scissors. So to begin the centerpiece of the sunflower pin cushion, you are going to do a slip knot and then 2 chains. This is my preferred method of starting. Feel free to use a magic ring if you please. After you've done the 2 chains, go into the first chain and do 6 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In round 2, you are going to do increases all around, which means 2 double crochets in each stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm also going to insert my stitch marker in this round, and the way I do it is I do 2 beginning single crochets. I always start with the increase and then I put my stitch marker in the first one. So for round 3, we are going to do an increase and then a single crochet, an increase and then a single crochet, an increase and then a single crochet, all the way round. And by the end of this round, you should have 18 single crochets. So for round 4, we are going to do an increase and then 2 separate single crochets, an increase and then 2 separate single crochets all the way around. Let's begin with our increase and then insert your stitch marker into the first SC of that increase. And then we can begin. So we've done our increase and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, second single crochet, and then our increase. So 1 single crochet, a second single crochet, and then our increase, and do this all the way around. As you're approaching the end, you will have 2 single crochets left before the stitch marker, and that indicates you're on the right track. You should always end with the number of single crochets that are meant to be done in between the increases. So in round 5, you are going to begin with your increase and put in your stitch marker into the first single crochet of that set, of that increase rather. And now we are going to do 3 separate single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then do your increase in the same stitch, 2 in the same stitch, and then 3 separate single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 in the same stitch. That's your increase. So work all the way round, and I'll meet you nearer to the end. and we should end with 3 stitches before our stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3. Yep, we are definitely on the right track. So to begin round 6, we are going to do an increase, and then in between our increases, we are going to do 4 single crochets. So do your increase, insert your stitch marker, okay, and then do your 4 separate single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your increase, 1, 2 in the same stitch, and then 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you increase, and just work this way, and I'll meet you nearer to the end. So I've just done my last set of increases, and I should have 4 single crochets left to work in. That's 4 before the stitch marker, and in this way you absolutely know you are on the right track. Okay, so let's finish off those single crochets, and there we have it. By the end of this round, you should have 36 single crochets. So let's go to round 7, and this time round you're going to do your increase, and in between your increases you're going to do 5 single crochets. So just work this way till the end, and I'll meet you nearer to the end. So once again, you should have 5 single crochets before the stitch marker, and in this way you know you are on the right track. So let's finish these single crochets before we proceed to the next round. So for round 8, we are going to do 6 single crochets in between the increases. So begin with your first set of single crochets and insert the stitch marker into the first one. And now that you have actually done your first set, you can proceed with doing 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and your increase. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and your increase. So just continue all the way around like that, and I'll meet you near the end. Okay, so you should have 6 single crochets remaining before your stitch marker. Okay, and if you do, we can now go to the next round. So for the next round, which is round 9, you are going to do 7 single crochets in between your increases. So 7 single crochets in between your increases. Don't forget to attach the stitch marker in the first single crochet of your first increase. Okay, so go around 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then becomes your increase. So just work this way all the way around, and I'll meet you nearer to the end. So once again, just make sure you have your 7 single crochets before you reach the stitch marker. So now we're going to do our last round of increases, and this time round we are going to do 8 single crochets in between the increases. So you know the score, just do your increase, insert your stitch marker, and then after your increase you're doing 8 single crochets, and then do your next increase. So just work this way all the way around, and I'll meet you nearer to the end. Okay, I'm just confirming if I have the 8 single crochets before the stitch marker, and I surely do, and I hope you do too, because you're absolutely on the right track. So let's do our 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So no more increases, and for the next 3 rounds you are simply going to do single crochets. So you should have 60 single crochets, and you should do 3 rounds of single crochet. 3 rounds. And I'm going to meet you here when you've done your 3 rounds. Don't forget to insert your stitch marker as you're doing these rounds as well. As you continue doing your rounds, you will notice that your work is now curving in. That's a good sign. We need that for our pin cushion. So when you finished round 3, just remove the stitch marker and you can end with a slip stitch in the next round and simply fasten off, and that is your center piece done. You should actually turn it inside out because this is the side we are going to be using. You now need to crochet 1 more, in my case in the brown color, and these are your 2 centers ready for the sunflower. So now let's begin with the petals. So take your yellow yarn and insert it into any of the single crochets from this centerpiece. And now you are simply going to attach your yarn and do 9 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now what we're going to do is skip the first stitch and do a slip stitch, and then do another slip stitch, and then do a single crochet, then do a half double crochet, then do a double crochet, and another double crochet, and you are going to end with 2 trebles. So for trebles, yarn over hook twice. So we're doing 2 of those trebles. That's 1, and that's the next one. Okay, you are now going to skip 3 and slip stitch in the 4th single crochet from the center piece. Simple as that. So that's your first petal done, and you are going to do a total of 15 petals. So just repeat the process. Once again, 9 chains. You're going to skip the first stitch and then do a slip stitch, another slip stitch, a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, a double crochet, and also 2 trebles. And then skip 3 and slip stitch in the 4th. Continue making your petals on both center pieces. To end, just insert the hook into that beginning chain and fasten off. Don't forget to weave in the ends. If your petals are curling too much and you don't like this effect, you can always straighten them by steaming them, or in my case, I used a bit of stiffener and stiffen them a bit to give them a bit of shape so that they could lay flatter. I also added a touch of water and laid them out in the sun to dry. Now that they're dry, we can move on to the next step, which is sewing them together and stuffing it. So you're going to put one sunflower piece on top of the other, and you do not want to place the petals facing each other. Instead, move them a little bit and have the petals in the center as shown in the video. So now we are simply going to sew these 2 pieces together. So you are going to take the centers, the 2 centers, not the petals, but the centers, attach your yarn and just sew, not all the way, but just leave some space for the stuffing, but continue to sew, and I will meet you when we are ready for stuffing our sunflower. Like I said earlier, leave some space for the stuffing, and we are going to stuff it quite firmly. So you need quite a bit of stuffing, even though it's not such a big piece, but we do need to stuff it quite firmly, because remember, it is a pin cushion and you do want the pins to be able to nicely pin in. So just continue stuffing until you are happy with the shape, the look, the feel of your sunflower pin cushion. When you're happy with the stuffing, continue sewing all along the sunflower till you reach the end. Finally, fasten off and hide any tails. And there you have it, guys, your beautiful sunflower pin cushion ready. So it's quite big. It's about 7 to 8 inches wide, so a nice size, and it would be a perfect gift for a seamstress. Actually, I actually gifted it to a seamstress as well. So guys, hit the like button if you enjoyed this tutorial, and please consider subscribing as well. Thank you so much.